we found ourselves in Thailand having to build a completely new life from scratch. We did not plan a relocation. We just packed for 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into 2 months. And now 2 months turned into almost 3 years. I'm a builder. I've built a bunch of companies for the last 2 decades across different industries. Earlier this year, the business is doing $90,000 a month. If you take it away from me, which essentially happened, I'm still full of confidence in the fact that I can rebuild myself over and over again. Koh Samui as a paradise for starting your life. It can be very challenging if you're still in our age and you need to provide. You don't have any ecosystem here. It's really, really hard to get into a working mindset from a beautiful tropical island.
All right. So Vic, thank you so much for joining me today on the show. Super happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So the reason I invited you on is because I've seen some of your posts on Substack, now on LinkedIn. And one thing I really liked about what I was reading, number one, you're quite vulnerable. You share a lot of stories on there. But the second part is that you're a builder, right? Speaking with a builder like yourself, someone who can actually create something and has found success multiple times, I think there's a lot we can extract from you in terms of wisdom. And so that's kind of my goal today, is to kind of dig through some of your cases, what you've learned, so that fellow entrepreneurs can take some lessons from it. So could you give yourself kind of a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Vic, I'm 42, a father of two boys aged 6 and 7, and I'm a builder. I'm what you might call a serial entrepreneur. I've built a bunch of companies for the last 2 decades across different industries: e-commerce, SaaS, software, biotech, fintech, AI, you name it. So yeah, at my core, I build stuff.
Nice. And I'll link in the comments to, or in the description to, your Substack, because I definitely recommend people checking that out if they want to see some of the things that you've built. But a headline that I do have to share at the beginning is you've reached some big numbers, right? And so I know at least one of your companies has reached 90K per month. And so that's pretty significant. And so, like I said, I want to dig into what that all looks like, but I'm obviously interviewing you on my channel, Made It in Thailand. And so now the question becomes, how did you end up in Thailand?
It was a coincidence. It was not a planned move. The reason we're here in Thailand is that my family originally lived in Israel. Then we opened the TV on October 7th, and we saw what we saw, and we decided that we want to take the kids away from this hostile atmosphere. And pretty much within 9 hours, we were on a plane to Thailand. Again, we did not plan a relocation. We just packed for 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and now 2 months turned into almost 3 years. So it was in hindsight, it was a relocation, but we found ourselves in Thailand having to build a completely new life from scratch.
So how hard was that for you? Because I have young children too, but I raised them here and they grew up here. But in your case, you moved over here with kids, and it sounds like without a huge plan. So, I mean, how was that transition for you? Were you welcomed with open arms, or what did it look like for you?
The first year was pretty much a nightmare. The biggest pain came from the fact that we did not know what home is, because we treated Israel as home, and it changes how you plan things, and it changes how people treat you. Because if you're just a visitor, people don't want to get attached to you, right? So you're kind of socially isolated because you're just waiting to get back home. And it took about a year until we changed our internal view on things and decided that Thailand is home. And from there, everything kind of clicked. We could start making long-term decisions like buying a sofa. And when you buy a sofa, people start treating you as somebody who's here for a long term, and you start accumulating friends and so on. But the first year was very tough.
Right. And so what also made you settle then on Samui? Or why did you actually pick that specific location?
So I guess what happened was that we landed in Phuket, and we wanted to surround ourselves with people from Israel, because it's easy for us to communicate with them. Israelis help each other. And at the time, we didn't know where Israelis are in Thailand. So we just opened Facebook groups, started to look out, ask people. And then this random Zoom conversation with the family from Samui came in, and they told us that there are international schools on Samui, a fact that we were not aware of. And we were like, oh, that's cool. The kids can learn English. And it was pretty much a random decision. Okay, there's an Israeli community. There are international schools. We're coming to Samui.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like you've stuck around there after, a few years now. So are you still enjoying it? You still think it was the right choice?
Oh yeah, I think Samui, after almost 3 years now, I'd summarize Samui as a paradise for starting your life. For young children, it's amazing. And it's an amazing place to retire. But it can be very challenging if you're still in our age and you need to provide and you need to build yourself financially. It can be very challenging. You don't have any ecosystem here. Coming from Israel with the Tel Aviv ecosystem, it's all about startups and traction and whatnot. Here you've got none of that. And not only that, the atmosphere around, for good and bad, you've got like zero FOMO here. The atmosphere is just, take a coconut, go to the beach, relax. It's really, really hard to get into a working mindset from a beautiful tropical island.
It's a good point. I guess I can see that. I think in general in Thailand, I still think if you can keep that creator, builder, doer mindset, I still think it's a superpower. I still think it's a differentiator because to your point, like if people come here looking to relax, if you still have that internal drive, then you can really stand out. I imagine it's harder to stand out in Tel Aviv or in, New York or wherever it may be, or, California, wherever essentially people are building and doing a lot. It just seems so normal. Whereas here, you kind of stand out like a sore thumb if you're very, very motivated and driven and whatnot.
That's very true. Yes.
One point I want to quickly touch on because you and I are in slightly different situations, and it's that idea of like visa stuff, and I don't want to harp on this, but I think it's important to touch on briefly. Is that in my case, I work with businesses and more as a business consultant or an integrated leader, and I do that in Thailand sometimes for Thai businesses, and that means I'm hiring people. I'm need my work permit. I need to send invoices with VAT. I have to do all that stuff. I'm working in Thailand. And so the situation for you is a bit different because I know you run businesses. I would classify it as you're doing it from Thailand, meaning that you're agnostic maybe to the location you happen to be in Thailand now. You're doing things legally and everything like that. You have a visa. But I still think there's a unique thing about your situation in the visa type that you're under. And so can you briefly explain that and kind of how that relates to your situation today?
Our visa is what seems to be the most common visa among families here in Samui at least, which is basically a follower to the education visas that the kids are getting as students in their school. We are following as supporters to our children. And this means that I cannot do what you can do. I cannot hire people in Thailand. I cannot work for Thai companies and so on. But for my setup, that's fine because I have no intention of building Thai-based businesses.
So that makes perfect sense. And so when it comes to starting a business and being an agnostic to the location, do you have any recommendations there as to where you should incorporate or anything like that, or how do you usually set that up?
Yeah, sure. So I can share my own experience. I'm obviously not an expert on the subject, but I can share what I'm doing specifically in my case. So what I do is I set up LLC companies in the US. You can set up an LLC in Delaware or in New Mexico. For some cases, generally speaking, if you don't plan to raise VC funding, it might be better to register in New Mexico because you don't have the annual state tax, not tax, but annual state fee there. But anyways, being a non-US citizen, I don't have a green card, I don't have any US visa, I don't have any US offices, I don't have any US employees. And given this situation, from the perspective of the US taxman, my LLC is what's called a transparent or disregarded entity. The tax obligations flow directly to me personally through the LLC. So I don't need to pay taxes to the US.
Yeah, I think that's just the reason I wanted to harp on that, and sorry to delay talking about the business side, but I just think that's a clerical thing that is important, mainly because I think it's an unlock people aren't aware of. I think a lot of people think about Singapore businesses, they think about Hong Kong businesses, and I think they might underestimate the opportunities that come from starting a US LLC, as you've done. In fact, I've even helped a Thai friend of mine do that, because as a Thai individual, you can create a US LLC as well, right? And so
Of course.
this is just one of those unlocks that I think is important to be aware of. So with that said, let's talk about your business situation and what you've done in the past. So
Mhm.
I know that CrazyLister was, I believe, one of the first businesses or first successful
It was
businesses. Can you
the
explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So the background that brought us to build CrazyLister is that I started my business journey as an e-commerce seller, selling on eBay, Amazon, a network of web stores, and then feeling the pains of the e-commerce sellers. We've built a SaaS called CrazyLister to kind of scratch our own itch. We raised VC funding for CrazyLister, and we built the company to a bit more than $2 million in ARR. What the company does, CrazyLister, is in simple terms, it's like Wix for eBay. So think of Wix, the drag and drop editor that allows anybody to create this professional website. Same goes for eBay. So we invented the drag and drop design platform for eBay sellers. It was the first of its kind, so it was obviously not an overnight success, but over a few years we gained some serious traction. Yeah, very cool project.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think that here Lazada is very common, but there's a level of, in the US, whether it's eBay or Amazon or what is it called? Craigslist. You have all these situations where you have these different platforms, and they're not always the most intuitive. So I get it. You were selling, and then you had to scratch your own itch, and you built
Yep.
something. Now was that your first big success? I mean, did you have failures before that, or?
So we were pretty successful with the e-commerce business, and the story is that eBay opened offices in Israel, and they invited us to receive an award in this event they organized. We received an award for having the highest conversion rates among the Israeli e-commerce businesses. Then we've got some attention. We then turned this attention into consulting. So a few big name brands reached out to us so that we can consult them on how to build an e-commerce extension for their chain. And so we've done that for a while, but then it became really obvious that there are only 24 hours in a day. So there's a cap to what we can build here if we're just selling our own time and expertise. And that gave birth to the idea of CrazyLister. Instead of selling our time, let's build a SaaS that compounds and it has a uncapped limit and let it grow.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and it's still running today, and all these years
Mm-hmm.
later, right? It looks like continuing to adapt, and like I said, I saw Amazon on there
Mm-hmm.
and eBay, and it seems like it's, to your point, it's a tool that you needed as a user, and then you
Yes,
needed to actually be able to help others. And I get it. You can't scale your time. I play in that consulting place, and yeah, it's just one of those things. There's only so many hours in the day, and it's beautiful when you can unlock something that's a SaaS opportunity like that, and help people at scale, right?
exactly. Yeah.
That's CrazyLister. Now, then I understand too that you did some other work with where now it's getting more into the AI space.
So the story there is that after doing, broadly speaking, 12 years of e-commerce, first as a seller, then as a SaaS operator, I felt burned out. I wanted to do something else with my life. I was open about it with my investors, my co-founders, our team. I felt like I have nothing more to give to the space. I wanted to do something else because I'm always led by curiosity. And I embarked on this journey of looking for what I want to do when I grow up. And it took me about a year to find my next project. And it started from me seeing two scientists posting in this closed group of ex-intelligence military group. They were posting that they are developing a biological mosquito-control technology, and they're looking for a CEO to take the lead. I arranged a call with the two scientists, and I was amazed by the story. The gist of the technology is that you generate, at the end of the day, you generate sterile male mosquitoes, you release them to the wild, they go and mate with the females, and then the eggs that the females lay are infertile. So you get a natural population suppression. And I heard this story. It was, like I always say that a founder looking for a next project, it's like looking for love. You can't really describe what is it that you love. You can say all day long that you love blondes, but then a redhead comes and you fall in love. So that was the story. I was hooked. But I asked one question. I asked the guys, look, I have absolutely zero experience with biology. I know nothing about mosquitoes. At that moment, and I'm embarrassed to share it even in hindsight, I didn't even know that mosquito females are the ones who bite, that males do not bite. That's how noob I was to the mosquito world. And I just shared this as a concern. And the reply was, well, Vic, how many experienced CEOs do you think are there in Israel who've built mosquito startups? And I was like, smart guys, let's meet. And we embarked on this journey, and we've raised, I think we were among the first project of its kind that raised actual VC funding for this, because it's mostly, supported by universities and nonprofits, because mosquitoes are a very hard category. At first, when I was raising funding for Diptera AI, we got a lot of applause from investors saying that this is a great cause, and it's at the end of it saves lives, because mosquitoes are the deadliest animal alive, but there's no money in it. So it's a very, very tough category. But I'm very proud to share that now it's being backed by the Gates Foundation, and they're making first steps in deploying this technology in Africa, where they need it the most.
Yeah, that's incredible. I traveled through Africa about 15 years ago or so, and I just remember that there were so many nonprofits and everything, and they would focus on important things, but it always came back to the two core things, which is clean water and mosquitoes,
Yeah.
right? And so it's so important to be tackling the biggest problems, right? So that's incredible.
Yeah, people don't
Now,
know, but the statistic is horrible. Like every 2 minutes, a child is dying from malaria, a disease spread by mosquitoes.
right, it's a thing worth tackling, and we're going to touch on this later, but it's to the point of doing things that have a purpose, right? And doing
Yep.
things that actually have a big impact, right?
Mhm.
So now let's get back to not the present day, but when you find yourself now in Thailand, right? You've been
Mhm.
uprooted, you're now in Thailand, you have to provide, right? You have
Mhm.
to, build something, and I understand that background of you being a builder. But can you bring me now to the next startup or venture that you started?
What happened next after spending about the first 6 months or so on just the basic logistics of building a life, things that you don't think about when you have your comfort zone: banking, finance, visa, school, house, the basics of life. After settling with these things, I found myself needing to provide. And again, I was pretty much alone, out of any ecosystem, out of my network, on a tropical island on the other side of the world, basically, from where I grew up from a career perspective. From that perspective, it became obvious to me that I can do one of two things. I can either build what's missing on my island specifically, or I can build a SaaS, which can be built remotely. And I actually started by exploring opportunities on the island itself, because there are a lot of opportunities in Samui. And I'll share one specific opportunity I explored pretty deeply, and that's solar energy. I got fascinated by the fact that when you land on Samui, it is not completely covered by solar systems. The roofs are not covered. And you've got, I think, 2,000 hours of sun every year on Samui. So and you've got electricity outages. Electricity here is not stable. They bring it with underwater cables from the mainland, and it's pretty expensive. So it didn't make sense to me. So I looked into how this works outside of Samui, and I found out that in Europe and the US, it's very common for people not to pay outright for solar systems. Rather, they rent them. And I thought, why is that not a widespread model here on Samui? So I started to kind of validate trying to validate a solar rental system where you basically the value proposition for the homeowner is, hey, would you like for me to install a solar system for you for free? And then you just go and buy the electricity from me at a 30% discount versus what you're paying to the grid provider. So it sounds like a no-brainer for the homeowner, right? But then I realized that specifically on Samui, there is a risk. And the risk is that it's kind of it's an unstable base for people to live for a few years and then they move on. And in order for this business to work, you need for the homeowner to pay you for at least 4 years for you to get your investment back. And I just felt uncomfortable with how dynamic the island is. I mean, people get excited, they sign the contract, you install the system, you invest upfront. But then if they leave and they don't want to honor their agreement, it's realistic for me to go and catch them with international litigation in their next destination. So I decided that it's too dynamic for me. So this is how I shifted into SaaS.
Yeah, just to stay on that for a moment, I think it's so important too, because it's something that happens to a lot of us when we get here too, is that we come from our own backgrounds, our own situations, and then we say, oh, it's not like this here, or this would make sense here, right?
Yep.
And you can see those problems, and as builders, you want to fix the problem, right? But I like that you thought through, well, maybe the reason this isn't solved yet is because it's either harder to solve or it doesn't make sense to solve, or there's like other variables at place versus just saying, oh, it's not here, we need to add it here. And so I think that's a really important lesson that you did that additional research.
I actually formed a partnership with a local installer, and he told me, Vic, you're wasting your time. The only business model that can work here on Samui is getting the payment upfront and just installing the thing for the homeowner. There's no other business model that can work here. But I'm a builder, I'm an entrepreneur. When somebody says no to me, it's like, let's prove them wrong. But I think in this case, he was eventually right.
Yeah, this actually brings to something else I hear foreigners sometimes complain about is the inability to get loans, whether it be home loans or car loans or whatever. Maybe it's possible, but more difficult. But I think it goes back to what you just said, which is
Yep.
whether it's a foreigner or not, if it's someone that leaves, right, then how are you going to get your money back? And you have to think that way from a Thai bank's perspective too, right? You could go back, you could fly out of here anytime, and
Exactly.
so then are they going to hunt you down to try to get good on the loan? That's just something we always have to think about. If you have mobility, there's benefits of you having mobility, but there's also detriments if you're trying to start a company and your customers have such mobility and they can't necessarily. You
Yeah,
can't guarantee
absolutely.
if they're going
I
to get.
think, frankly, long term there will be solutions to this as the world becomes more and more global. But right now in 2026, it is a real friction, both for the banking system and for me as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, good point. And I was looking at solar. I live in the suburbs near Bangkok, but solar is just an interesting thing. To your point, we have a lot of sun here, but we really have to. And not only that, with what's going on in the world today, it becomes a little uncertain when it comes to energy. And is there going to be an energy crisis? Are we going to have issues? And so, yeah, to your point, I have a feeling that it's going to get solved one way or another. And solar hopefully makes its way into more Thai homes over
Solar
time,
is
one
an
way or another.
amazing investment. I mean, I installed solar on the house we live at, and the return on investment is more than 20% a year. I mean, and it's completely safe, and you've got the additional benefit where during electrical outages, we don't feel them. So it's a win-win-win all around.
Yeah, and one quick shout out is that a friend of mine, Stu from Eason Energy, he's in this space, and so definitely if people are thinking about solar for their businesses or just looking to talk to someone that's been in the space for a while, I would happily pass along his information as well, or drop it in the description as well. Now, moving then into though how you did then say you're going to go back into SaaS, right? Which you
Yep.
knew well. So, let's take it from there.
The story there is that uh, after exploring the solar business, getting back into SaaS, it was pretty much in mid 2024, and it was kind of the renaissance, the starting point for the realistic AI image models, with Flux being one of the first one who really created images that are really hard to tell between AI, made it really hard to tell between AI and real photographs of humans. That's how realistic it got. And at that point, we started to explore, okay, who are the people who need these images, who make money from it? Because it's nice to play with it and do LinkedIn headshots, but there's no real money in this. It's just nice to have. And so we realized that the people who make money using content are online influencers, because they need to provide, they need a lot of content on daily basis, be it images or videos. And right now it's hard for them to produce because they need to actually fly to all of these exotic locations. Say an influencer from California who wants to take this luxury photo of himself in Samui, they actually need to fly to the other side of the world. And it's becoming redundant with the latest AI capabilities. To make a long story short, we've built this platform and that allowed influencers to basically train a model of themselves, and they can then create these very realistic images and videos of themselves, pretty much doing anything. There's an interesting story of how I got to the very first paying customer, because I've got this agreement with my technical co-founder Yair. He's the builder, the actual product builder. I build the business, and the agreement says that he will only start to build once I prove that there is a demand and people are willing to pay money for this. So the story goes that I was reaching out across various channels to these influencers, trying to explain the idea of what is it that we do. And it was, I guess it was something that's really hard to comprehend until you actually see the result. So at one point, I just started sending these influencers photos of themselves doing this crazy stuff, like diving with sharks, skydiving from satellites or whatever. And it caught their attention. And this is how we got our first few customers. And Yair started building. And then we reached the point of about $1,000 in MRR. And we kind of got stuck at this point. And the reason is that for an outsider, it looked like the results are amazing. But if you're judging the images by yourself, you see that they're like 97% there, but there are very small inconsistencies. And for an influencer, it's a pain because he's basically selling his own image. So they were very sensitive to this. And so we got stuck at this point for a few months until we reached out to a French guy who was an influencer in the space of AI influencers. So these are influencers who are completely virtual. It's not based on any real humans. And to make a long story short, I told this guy that I've seen him promote this competitor of ours through an affiliate thing. And I said, hey, instead of earning, just a few cents for every customer you refer to this competitor, why don't you come and join us as an equal co-founder in our company? You'll take care of distribution because you've invested years into building trust with this audience that you teach them how to monetize AI influencers. And we ended up partnering up, and with his audience and with the trust that he built with them, we were able to grow the company all the way to almost $30,000 in MRR. And from there, we've got a lot of data, hundreds of customers, and we learned the features they need, what terms did they use that we can use in our marketing messaging. And from there, we were able to grow it all the way up to $90,000 in MRR at its peak.
Wow, there's a lot there. I mean, I'm just trying to take away some lessons. A few lessons that I'm hearing is that Your co-founder at the beginning of that, the more of the technical co-founder, right? You're the business
Mhm.
builder, he's the technician, let's say. You guys didn't just start building and hope for the best. You proved that there was a market and people would pay money. And I think that is so critical because, and I always refer to the same thing. Tim Ferriss kind of taught me that lesson too when he'd talk about how he released his book or started to sell and promote his book before it was actually a book, right? Because you could test the cover art and things like that. And it's
Mhm.
that, will people buy it? Do people actually want this thing? Before you spend hundreds of hours writing something, creating something, developing something, will
Yeah.
people click the buy button? Because it's easy to say, yes, I will buy it, or once you make that, I'll buy it. So they say.
Mhm.
But then for them to actually buy it is a different thing. And it sounds like you developed a product that people were buying, and then you're proving that, and then now you had more buy-in to say, now let's build it in a scalable manner.
I will add that it is obviously not possible with every product category. I mean, some products are harder to build and to prove and to validate. Like if you're building something physical, for example, with any hardware component, or if you're going after anything that has to do with, I don't know, healthcare or whatever, or just deep, I don't know, cybersecurity stuff, it's very hard to validate. In our case, the validation looked like, okay, so I've showed you that I can create these very realistic, cool images of you. So the initial product was actually a Google sheet where influencers were just typing what is it that they want, and I would go and actually create the images and videos for them. I want to see myself riding a bicycle on the ocean, whatever. The validation was pretty easy. I would say with that understanding this, we choose to build these kind of products that you can validate without having spent a lot of time on actually building things. And you can do it for a very large category of products. I mean, at the very least, you can come up with, like, I would argue that if you are unable to come up with a landing page that just asks people for their email, it can be a smoke test, a fake door. It can present if the product as if the product is already there. This also applies to a physical product, if you will. If you are unable to get people's email on something that looks real, then you don't have a business. Don't go and invest into building the product wherever it is. You got to have at least one acquisition channel figured out. Only then go and start building.
Great point. Great point. And I like that you called me out on it's not always possible, but I still think in the areas that it is possible, I love that too. Because if you can't get an email address, then that's one thing. If you can't get a buyer, then that's another thing. And it's like, all these things, there are hints that it might not be a business. So I understand that you said you hit a bit of a cap for a while. So you were able
Yep.
to service an audience, you hit a bit of a cap. And then that's when that other partnership came in, and you brought someone in that had the audience, that had the right audience, right?
Yes.
But you didn't just say, "Here's a commission. I'm going to pay you higher commission."
Yeah.
You brought him in, and I think that's another important lesson. How did you come up with that idea?
Basically, it comes from just my tendency to. I love working with people, and I'd better have people as partners rather as fully motivated, owning piece of the company rather than just outsiders who don't have very deep interest in the company. And I'm more in it to kind of enjoy the journey than to just optimizing for maximum profits. It's just a philosophy, I guess. For this specific business, I think that we realized that we don't have the industry expertise. It is worth for us to bring an expert who spent years. Yeah, maybe we've spent a lot of our time and attention in building the company and the software, but having somebody who spent years on building trust with the relevant audience was really worth the equity for us. We all thought that it is a fair deal. This actually turned out, and I'm jumping a little ahead here, but this idea actually became our new business model. This is what we're doing right now. We are building companies starting from these partnerships with domain experts. And we do this now across many different categories where, again, I have like zero experience in, starting from pet grooming in the US then insurance brokers in Israel, restaurant CRMs, and real estate companies. I I have zero experience in all of these, yet we are partnering with experts and we're offering them the exact same deal that we've done with Dorian that I've just told you about. You've built trust with your audience. We have the experience of building a SaaS company. Instead of monetizing your trust through affiliates with others where you don't have equity, come and join us as an equal co-founder and have a equity in what we're building here.
That's a great pivot. I mean, or I wouldn't say pivot, but that's a different way to look at it, which I think is so important. Because I think the oversimplification would be if you don't have the audience, you can rent the audience. Renting the audience would be essentially saying have people promote it for you, affiliate programs, etc. But at the stage that you're bringing someone into the fold, it's different. It's not renting the audience anymore. You're essentially I don't know if acquiring would be the right term, but you're sort of acquiring the audience because you're bringing someone into the fold that has the audience and they care about their audience. And then, it's, 1 + 1 = 3 in that situation, right?
It works, and it's beautiful where it works. And from the influencer's perspective, they have complete freedom to decide if they want to join in as, full-time operators, all the way to just, being the face and the CEOs of this business going forward. Or, as was in the case with Dorian, he was very successful with his own AI influencer businesses. And he decided that he stays on. He does not want to take a role as an operator in the business. He obviously helped with his network and with consulting, but he stayed on as an advisor, and that was enough for us because he got us to a point where we could only build the company around the hundreds of customers, the initial customers that he brought on. So in this case, you can treat the influencer as an angel investor. That instead of giving you like half a million dollars, he gave you the base that you could build the company around, the customers.
Absolutely. Now let's then continue that story. So it sounds like it's successful. You brought him into the fold. Things were going great. So I assume that now you are sitting pretty and you don't need to work another day in your life, just relaxing on the beach, right? Is that the case, or did anything happen here?
So I'll share some more context around the peak. So earlier this year, the business is doing $90,000 a month. I flew myself to Singapore, treated myself to a Michelin restaurant in Singapore. It was the first one for me, and I'm a big foodie. I live to eat, and it was quite an experience for me. So I was kind of celebrating my financial freedom. But frankly, I felt empty because, like I said, I have with very minimal emotional attachment. I've had really no meaning in the general space of AI influencers, especially so after working on a project like trying to solve the mosquito problems, the deadliest animals on Earth. So it became a pain. So that's one thing. That the business itself, although making money, which is always good, it lacked the meaning for me. I was still feeling, okay, what am I doing with my life on Earth? Is this what I want to tell my grandchildren when I'm old, that this is what I worked on? And the answer was no, I was not proud of what I was doing. Fast forward about a few months after that moment, we were forced to pretty much wind down the business. Not completely close it, but really wind it out to like 10% of what it was at its peak. Because the card networks are very much afraid from this new emerging technology. And as it usually goes, regulation is lagging behind the technology. Because at the edge of it, if you don't have a strong enough compliance and filters, you can use this technology for harmful stuff like, you can create realistic images and videos of people. So you can use that for very bad stuff. And regardless the fact that we had all of the filters and protections in place, we were actually working with a payment provider who is not even a high-risk payment provider. We've built the compliance package together. Yet our payment provider, one day they received this order up from above from the card networks, essentially telling them that, hey, we want you to close all of your 250 companies that are doing generative AI stuff, not only images and videos, but also sound related stuff. So they had to shut down more than 200 accounts in a day. And for us, or for me personally, it was like the same thing that I felt about investing my time in building a business in Koh Samui. It just felt that I'm investing my time into building something that is not stable enough. So I did not want to keep investing any more energy and time. And so we shifted our focus to what I just shared like a minute ago, to forming these new partnerships with new influencers in new industries. And what we took with us was all the lessons that we've learned from this build.
Wow. So, I mean, the fact that you reached such success and then it was kind of yanked out, I think that's telling, but it's also the other side of that, which is so important too, is when you were explaining how it wasn't as rewarding as some of the other things you've done in the past, because, money is money, and if it doesn't have that purpose, then that's another important thing. So it sounds like you're striking a balance to, rather than building a product that can have the rug pulled out from under, right? And rather than building a product that you don't have maybe the passion or the about, instead it sounds like you're partnering with people that have the passion, have the drive, have the knowledge, but you're bringing in your passion when it comes to building a sustainable business that can make money for them. So do you think that this shift is going to get you back to your roots a little bit? Because I know that you mentioned when we're talking about your first business, which was scratching your own itch, and then you moved into helping rid the world of maybe reduce the amount of malaria. That's a lot more
realistic. Yeah.
The different extreme, and it sounds like you're landing somewhere in between, to where you're maybe not changing the world, but you're at least taking an individual that is passionate about something and you're helping push them forward in a way. And I assume that's going to be more rewarding for you then.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share a quick story here just to help you understand where I'm coming from. While building the AI influencers platform, I found myself during the same day doing customer support, supporting customers who pay like $11 a month. And later in that afternoon, I was helping this team of 3 PhDs from Israel who are building the next AI model, which is 2 orders of magnitude more efficient than ChatGPT. So it can do it can give you the same results with about 100 times less compute power. So that's world changing. And they were early. I helped connect them with investors who ended up wanting to invest, and it kind of got me thinking, hey, I just spent 1 hour on serving, $11 a month customers, and then I spent this hour on helping a team that's changing the world get $1 million in investment. And it's the same person, but working at a different on a different gear, if you will. So it got me to really want to do more work with that high leverage, where I can leverage my network, my experience, because I think it's important for a CEO to do customer support, but it needs to be a means to an end in order to then help and train a team to do it for you. So I'm trying to really focus my work on where my leverage is maximal. Nowadays, I've got the team that actually builds the products, and I've got the team that actually does the support and the outsource. And I come in at exactly the point that I do best and that I actually enjoy doing. I'll share here, frankly, that I'm a rare breed. I actually enjoyed fundraising for my startups. I just love the challenge of getting into a room with people who say no 99% of their time, and getting a yes from them. So I really enjoy the challenge. And what I'm doing now with influencers, so we are reaching out to these completely strangers, and then we're getting on a call, and I'm sharing what we've done in the past and the idea and why I think it will work. And we start building these relationships. And I really enjoy this, and I think that I'm doing a pretty decent job at this. And this is where I focus my energy now. And when we get to the build, my team actually goes and does the build. So to your point, yes, I think that I get a lot of meaning, and I enjoy the new evolution of how we find it optimal to build SaaS businesses.
And I can see that in your face. I mean, essentially, when you started talking about this fundraising side of things, you're smiling, right? It
Yep.
seems like it's, to your point, you enjoy that challenge. It reminds me of a conversation I had with another business owner, Liam Holmes. He was talking about how some things in his business that he absolutely despises. So let's say that's accounting or finance. One of his unlocks was that there's someone in the world that actually likes to do finance or accounting. And so you as an owner don't necessarily have to be passionate about everything. You can find other people that are passionate about the areas that you're not passionate about. And I think about that when you're smiling about fundraising. To your point, I think there are plenty of builders or entrepreneurs or influencers or whatever it may be that are really not passionate about either asking for money or
Yes.
fundraising, right, in general, or going in pitching something, right? But you are. And so that's I think a bit of the unlock there.
I can't agree more.
With that, I mean, you've gone from taking your hour on $10 to $15 per month customers to then with doctors and people that are leading in the industry in AI, and now you've taken 10 steps back and now you're talking to me for an hour. So I want to congratulate you on making a few moves there and how you spend your hours. But with that said, we're kind of reaching the end. I'd love if you could share any takeaways that you think we didn't maybe touch on that you would share with entrepreneurs, business owners, right? I mean, I work with a lot of business owners here in Thailand, or just individuals that are, starting their own business that might rely on things like AI, and just any lessons or takeaways that you'd like to drop as final pieces of wisdom for them.
Something that I think a lot of people are striving for and hoping for and aiming for is financial freedom, right? I was there, right? At least in my own private perspective, when a business that I've built from an island hit $90,000 a month in revenue, I had this feeling that I'm invincible. As long as I have my health, I will always find a way to provide for my family. Because even if you take it away from me, which essentially happened, I'm still full of confidence in the fact that I can rebuild myself over and over again. That's why when you ask me, who am I instinctively answer that I'm a builder. I think this whole experience of building a new life on a tropical island in Samui from zero was very empowering and built resilience within myself and my wife, and I hope through projection and through example to my kids also, despite them being young. Right now, I'm going around the world feeling like if you uproot me from Thailand and throw me somewhere in Ethiopia or whatever, I have the confidence that we will be able to build a life and a business from zero. What I want to share from doing that, again, from building a life from zero all the way to a business that does 90K a month, is that freedom or financial freedom or full control of your time is just one part of it. It is for me, because being there, it felt empty. Because, okay, so you've got money, you've got time, but what do you do with it? What do you do that gives you meaning? Why do you wake up in the morning? When I was doing hard stuff like building Diptera AI, I was waiting, and it was a nightmare. It was so hard. I got endless amounts of no on a daily basis, but I knew what I was fighting for, and it was a fight worth fighting. Whereas when a business was doing 90K a month, I was waking up and asking, what am I doing with my life? What am I fighting for? So meaning was lacking. The message here is financial or time freedom is not enough. As for myself, I'm now pursuing a path where I'm hoping to solve both meaning and freedom, not just one of them.
What a great way to end it. And I think It's something I haven't thought of enough of. I think, like you said, a lot of us say, "What do we want money for?" Well, for freedom, right? For financial, we want financial freedom. We want optionality. But again, that doesn't necessarily bring you meaning. So that's a really great point. And I do love your point on resilience, because you've had essentially your location pulled out from under you, and then your income pulled out in two different areas. Like, I assume when a little bit of your income maybe is pulled out from you in the move, but then additionally building up a whole business and then having that piece pulled out. So it just kind of shows you how fragile things can be sometimes.
Yeah.
And I like that your takeaway seemed to be a little bit more on that anti-fragility, which is to say, okay, things can be pulled out, but you know that you can build yourself back up. I think that resilience is something that's going to be so important for all of us and for our kids. I have kids as well, and I'm just thinking, like, you could either say, "Oh, let me figure out how to set my kid up for success, get them the right major, or should they be homeschooled? Should they go to university in this way?" But it's like, I still think that the lesson is, how do you how do you develop children so that they are more resilient? Because when the world moves quickly, the question is, are you going to freak out? Are you going to say, "Oh my gosh, what do I do? Woe was me"? Or are you going to know how to respond and say, "Oh, I can get out of this. I can dig myself out of this hole"? It sounds like you've proven that you can. And I think that's a really huge lesson to take away. So with that said, Vic, I mean, I really appreciate your time. Where's the best place that people can either get in touch with you, follow you, see your work, anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm available on LinkedIn under Vic Levitin, and also my Substack, viclevitin.com.
Awesome. So I'll drop that all in the description. Thank you again so much for your time.
Kap und Kap.